TYT, you got Rising. TYT, you got Jimmy Dore. Nope, Jimmy Dore hasn't said shit yet. Sam Cedar has said something. Sam Cedar has said something about the California recall election. Sam Cedar has. So, and now TYT has. So, you had all these California people that didn't say shit. I'm not sure if Jackson Hinkle has said anything, and I'm not for sure if Jimmy Dore has said anything, and I'm not for sure who all is California, and why are you going to let the Republicans take your fucking state? Y'all know so goddamn much. If you know so goddamn much, why the fuck did you just, the most blue state in the nation just went red? So TYT finally said something about the recall, the California recall. And it's going to start out with Francesca, and she's going to point out how they don't have a backup strategy. The idea is, do you want to recall Gavin Newsom? No. And if he's recalled, who do you want to vote for? Nobody. Well, the reason why they're saying they're doing this, and this is terrible, knowledge, 2003, you had the recall, right? Greg Davis is the governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Cruz Bustamante and Tom McClintock. They were running in 2003. They said, do you want to recall Greg Davis? And they said, yep. And then 49% voted for Arnold Schwarzenegger, then 32% voted for Cruz Bustamante, and 14% voted for Tom McClintock. So Arnold Schwarzenegger just dominated the shit out of Cruz Bustamante. He didn't win by 20 points, but almost. So it was like 17 points or some shit like that. So Schwarzenegger kind of beat the shit out of everybody. He was almost untouchable. So what the Democrats in California, what they're saying is that Cruz Bustamante, he had ran, and if he wasn't in there, then people would have said no to the recall, and Greg Davis would have stayed in there. So they're saying since Cruz Bustamante was already in there, that encouraged people to recall Greg Davis so that way they could get Cruz Bustamante. Now, Gene Ugar disagrees with that. I also disagree with that, and I'm glad that finally Gene Ugar said something, because this is a stupid strategy, and Gene Ugar doubles down on it, just like Tim Pool. Tim Pool knows it's a dumb strategy. Tim Pool knows it's a stupid strategy, and so does Gene Ugar. So, my God. All right, Francesca, TYT.
When the same drama played out almost 20 years ago, this is important context, serious Democrat Lieutenant Governor Cruz Bustamante was in the mix to replace Governor Gray Davis. Some people think that his campaign made Davis look bad. Ultimately, Davis was defenestrated, and a telegenic Republican, Arnold Schwarzenegger, became the governor. So that is why there is no backup, because the idea is it would confuse voters. Now, for those who, just 100 on this, a lot of immigrant rights groups are pointing to the fact that when Arnold Schwarzenegger came in, guess what he did? He revoked driver's licenses for undocumented people in this state. And that was a big coup for the right, and it was something that immigrant rights groups had to work against for years to get back those rights. Meanwhile, you've got Gavin Newsom, who actually expanded health care and Medicaid coverage to undocumented immigrants.
Healthcare and Medicare was expanded to immigrants, and Gavin Newsom also ended fracking, and he ended the death penalty. Plus, he legalized marijuana. He's going to try to get the chokehold stopped, and he's going to legalize some more drugs. But he's done some notable accomplishments. Not a ton of things, but stopping fracking, stopping the death penalty, expanding healthcare to immigrants.
Immigrants, something that personally I agree with as a progressive.
I do too.
So I just want to put that out there, that like the strategy from everyone from the grassroots left to even Gavin Newsom, who a lot of us do not support or do not like, is vote no on the recall and leave the second blank, vote whomever you want, write in your own name. It doesn't, that's not as part of the strategy. Whether or not it's going to work, we will see. And there is an election next year. But it is all incredibly, to be honest with you, frustrating from a California perspective.
Yeah. So I want to be clear about a couple things. I don't agree with the Democratic strategy, and I don't agree with their analysis. So I agree on vote no on the recall because what do you want? You want a Republican governor? That's not going to make things better. It's going to make things worse. That's not complicated. That's easy to understand. And then, for God's sake...
Yeah, it's really easy. Vote no on the recall, and then vote, whoever you want, what progressive. But you got to vote for the second question. You got to answer the second question.
Let's put together an awesome primary against Gavin Newsom for the election coming up in 2022. And when the Democratic Party, by the way, in California, which I guarantee you they will say, oh, how dare you? There should be no Democratic challenge to the awesome Gavin Newsom, who's on the verge of losing a recall against a rando number one, right, who just absolutely sucks at his job and is totally a new...
Gavin Newsom is about to lose some random number one. Who are we going to replace him with? Who gives a shit? Just give us some boilerplate Republican. Any boilerplate Republican will do. I don't want to say Larry Elder had something to do with the recall efforts, but it does seem like it's almost too perfect, right? Hey, let's recall, Gavin Newsom. Do we have a replacement? No. Hopefully somebody shows up. Larry Elder. Well, shit. Where'd you come from? Just out of the blue, right? Just shows up on your doorstep. Larry Elder just shows up on your doorstep late at night.
How dare you?
It's lightning and storming. It's dark and cold.
We're going to do a primary challenge, I guarantee it, right now. And we're going to take down Gavin Newsom, but we're going to do it the right way. Putting Larry Elder in makes no sense, obviously, right? But now, that being said, the Democratic strategy of let's not run anyone else and cross our fingers, I think that strategy sucks. And so, and I'll tell you the other reason why they're doing that strategy. It's not just because of Cruz Bustamante, which I'll get into in a second. It's because, well, they don't control the other Democrats in the race. And
yeah, a win feels good. But you know what feels better? Better than a win.
And they don't control any of the Democrats that were willing to get in the race. And the California Democratic Party is as authoritarian as almost any party in the country. And they do not tolerate anyone that they cannot 100% control. The leaders of the party do not brook any dissent. So that's why. They're not like, oh my God, it's such a brilliant strategy, blah, 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 blah. No. And now, finally, back to Cruz Bustamante and that election. They said, oh no, Schwarzenegger won because Bustamante took votes away from Gray Davis accidentally. You guys remember any of that? Maybe you don't because it was a long time ago. I covered it. Cruz Bustamante was like a schleppy accountant. And he didn't take votes away from anybody. He was like the biggest dork anybody's ever seen. The other guy was Arnold Schwarzenegger. He won because he was a celebrity. Everybody knows that. I'm going to Cruz Bustamante. He got like 3 votes. No, that's absurd. That's not what happened at all. It's revisionist history because California Democratic leadership will never tolerate a progressive or anyone else that they cannot control 100%.
Yeah, I think, listen to Fran and Cenk here. I acknowledge that I don't live in California, so it doesn't affect me that much, but I do think it's important.
So, California Democratic Party is corrupt and authoritarian, so that sucks. There's a reason why you're about to lose your state, California, to the Republicans, because the Democrats are terrible, and Gavin Newsom is awful, and they only want somebody in there that they can totally control 100%. That's no good. And then they have a terrible analysis. And so a terrible analysis led to a terrible strategy. Vote no on the recall and leave the second question blank. If you would have left the second question blank in 2003 with, Cruz Bustamante, if you would have left that second question, that would have been Arnold Schwarzenegger, 50%, Cruz Bustamante, 10%. That would have just made Arnold Schwarzenegger's victory that much more profound and more deep. That would have only helped Schwarzenegger by not voting for Bustamante. He didn't beat him. He didn't overtake Schwarzenegger. But shit, if you're a lefty, you either got Schwarzenegger, you got, Bustamante. If anything, you should have got more people to not skip question 2, but to vote for Bustamante. It was down 17 points. But maybe if you would have said, let's all go vote Bustamante, then perhaps California could have saved their state for, the Democrats at least. Let's listen to this guy. No, let's not listen to that guy. So there you go. There you go. That's TYT's take on the California recall. It's about damn time, okay, Jink? TYT, it's about damn time that you covered this fucking thing. I'm glad you said something on the damn thing. And there's 46 candidates. My philosophy with elections is that we learn all 46 of these candidates and we pick out the best one with the best platform. That's a meritocracy, right? But we don't live in a meritocracy. So we're going to have to see the one that's best promoting themselves and has a good platform. Those are the two. And so far, the ones that promote themselves don't have a platform worthy of promoting. So, I don't know. Vote Kapelovitz, California. Fuck.